Alright, this is going to be for chapter 6, and it's about functions, but we're going to do it by just doing a very simple thing. I'm not going to do all of the things in the chapter. I am just going to write some functions that show the main points. Calculate my L. Not that this matters, but so what we're going to do is we're going to do functions, and functions divide code into blocks. Each function should do one thing, and then functions make it easier to debug and manage the program flow. So a function can just execute its code and be done. A function can take parameters to work with, and a function can return a value. We're going to do a very simple program to calculate area that does the following steps. It prints out what the program does, it gets the length and width of the area in feet, calculate the area, output the results. Each step will take a separate function. In fact, step 2 will take 2 functions. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to do a def intro. Okay, so def is always how you start a function. It's short for define. And I'm just going to print this program calculates area. Okay, that's all it's going to do. This is one of those functions that just does what it executes its code and is done. So then I'm going to, the next thing we need is to get the length. So I'm going to say get length, and I'm going to length equals eval input, and I'm going to say enter the length. Okay. This program is going to return the length. So a program can return a value, and I'll show you what that means in just a moment. It can return the value that we enter as length. I'm going to do exactly the same thing for get width. Notice it always has a parentheses and a colon, and I'm going to say width equals eval, and I'm going to do an input, enter the width. Alright, and we will return the width. So I'm going to do a calculation. So I'm going to do def calculate area. By the way, this is the function naming convention, is to do a lowercase and then a capital with any other words. So calculate area, and again I'm just going to take no arguments. We're going to pass an argument to the next one. I am going to say L equals get length, and W equals get width, and area equals length times width. Okay, and I'm not going to return it. I'm going to pass it. So I'm going to do def output area, and I'm going to put in here area. Okay, so what I'm going to do up above in this one before it's done is I'm going to call output area, and I'm going to pass it area. It could also pass it as A, right? If I wanted this just to be A, I could do that, and it would be fine. This just matches to this. If there's multiple arguments, the first matches to the first, the second matches to the second. There's no magic to it. It doesn't know what anything means. It's just first to first, second to second, third to third. So I'm going to print the area is area. Okay. So we have all of our methods. We've done it. We've got the intro, the get length, the get width, the calculate area, and the output area. But none of them will happen unless we call them. So it's not necessary, but it's a good idea to create a main. Main in most languages is the starting point of a program. So what we've done is we've created a main to call, and what we're going to call is intro. To call the program, all I have to do is name it with the parentheses, and then I'm going to call calculate area. And the reason that I'm calling it is it calls the get length, it calls the get width, it does the calculation, and then it calls the output area. So all of the other programs, all the other functions are basically called by calculate area. We do not need to call them again. So, but we do need to call main. And I'm just going to do main parentheses. Alright, so this is we've broken things up into functions. Each function does one thing. One prints the intro, one prints the length, gets the length, one gets the width. One calculates the area based on the length and the width, and then passes that to the output, which prints the area, the results. So I'm going to save this. I'm going to file, save as. Don't know why it never goes to the right folder. And I'm going to call it area pi. And then I'm going to run it. So let's enter a width, let's just say 5, and that's a length, and a width of 6. So the area is 30. Okay, so it all works. So once again, we have methods can take arguments. They don't have to. This method does nothing but execute its print statement, and then it's done. These two get a value and they return that value. That return, what value they return is mapped to these variables. Again, whatever variable it meant. So when you call get length, it actually returns a value. It returns a length value. Get width returns a width value. We can use those values to do a calculation. Here we're passing an argument. A gets mapped to area. And then we can print that out here. Down in main, we're calling the intro, and then we're calling the calculate area. Okay. This stuff takes a while to get the hang of, but it gives your programming a lot more sophistication and a lot more flexibility. Alright, so I'm going to kill the video on that and post this on assignment